Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Southwest Virginia fishing report with Matt Reilly. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, Marvin. How are you?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. And, we were talking before we started recording that you're kind of in that 0 or 100% rain zone, so you really don't know what's going to happen to your fishery, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're calling for, 3/4 of an inch tomorrow, so that's Wednesday. But, if you look at the hourly forecast for the next couple of days, they're calling for huge amounts of rain in like an hour or so time slot, which just means that, there's somewhat sparse systems jumping around. And so I think for the most part we'll be pretty okay. There may be, if some of those big cells, whack a really specific watershed, there might be some effect there, but I think for the most part we're going to be pretty okay.
Gotcha. And so, you're full bore smallmouth guiding, and, we were just talking about, how consistent was the topwater bite at this point. You want to kind of let folks know what you're seeing out there on the water?
Yeah. There's, topwater fishing is something that I feel like we're pushing the envelope on every year because it's just so much fun, and particularly fly fishing. That's what people want to do. That's what I want to do. We have been catching fish on topwater for the better part of a month now, in certain conditions, where we find good situations. And we've got plenty of bugs out and about. There's dragonflies, damselflies. Been seeing some Dobson flies showing up, some Hogomite adults. So there's some of that going on. Plenty of beetles and June bugs and et cetera out and about. So fish definitely have the opportunity to be eating some bugs, and then, certain days, somewhat aggressive, rambunctious topwater approaches have been paying the bills too. So, kind of just depends on the day, as we get into this early June time frame, which really, doesn't last too long, but, you can find some bigger fish that are somewhat lazy and uninspired, and they're not going to chase super well. And sometimes fishing a topwater bug pretty slow is the ticket for those kind of fish, because you're not going to get them to chase a streamer, but you can slap something down a few feet from them and let them kind of make their own decision on that. So topwater fishing is definitely viable. Otherwise, we're rolling the same dice, looking at different streamer approaches and stuff like that, depending on how the water clarity and levels are bouncing around. Because we have dealt with that a little bit in the last couple of weeks with some big rainstorms and stuff.
Yeah, got it. And I imagine you're probably really waiting until what about late June before you kind of get to that really solid, twitch it every 20 or 30 feet, topwater approach.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we've been doing a little bit of that already. But yeah, I mean, once we, late June, certainly all the spawning funkiness will be behind us. Anything other than, the typical just, feeding mentality from the smallmouth is going to be in the rear view. So, there are just some different mechanisms that are ruling the fish's attitude day to day right now, coming out of spawning and moving around in the river, et cetera. But certainly by, really the first day of summer, third week of the month, fish tend to be pretty well spread out, just in a feeding mode. And we're already starting to see a little bit of that diffusion. We're definitely seeing some fish disappearing from some, bedding sites and showing up in some spots that are a little more summery.
Yeah, got it. And I would imagine your trout bite, right? You probably got good water, and, hatches are kind of done-ish, and it's all kind of really about, beetles and ants and inchworms and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. We do have some hatches through the summer. Like we've got a green drake, which is, usually middle of May, early May through first couple weeks of June. Usually an evening thing. We don't get on that a ton, for fishing for the most part during the daytime hours. But we still do have, there's some sulfurs every now and again we'll see. And then, getting into probably the middle of this month, we'll start to see some of the giant big black stoneflies showing up, the adults. And that's I tend to lump those into terrestrial fishing because you can fish a stimulator and imitate just kind of a bushy terrestrial insect or a giant stonefly pretty well. But it is an aquatic insect. So those will be out and about for probably the second half of June and most of the month of July. But yeah, otherwise, we're definitely fishing some green weenies now and again, and some dry dropper stuff with some different terrestrial flies as well.
Well, there you go. And folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email them to us. You can DM us on social media. You can even drop them into the comments of our social media posts. And if we use your question, I will send you some Articulate Fly swag. And we were in a drawing for something cool for Matt at the end of the season. And, I know we're at this point, we're talking about the second half of your smallie season, but you want to let folks know kind of what you have open and how to reach in, all that kind of good stuff?
Sure. Yeah. We've got probably a week to 10 days worth of days, between now and, the end of September, the end of summer. And pretty evenly spread out. I mean, there's a few in August, a few in July, a few in September, mostly in September, but peak bug fishing, peak topwater fishing. And if you're interested, all my contact information is on the MattReillyFlyFishing.com website, and feel free to reach out however you'd like.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Matt.
Thanks, Marvin.